everyone. Welcome back to the VENDO Podcast. Again, as you guys see on screen, you see a few familiar faces and some new faces. So Russell, we have Russell back in the team. It's been a while. I believe we did one podcast not so long ago, but it's always great to come back and just provide more value, more data-driven value to, of course, our listeners. And with us, we have Michael White. Michael, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So Michael is from SmartScout. SmartScout is just an amazing tool. It provides a lot of different product research data points, along with other ton of different functionalities that Mike is going to dive into in a little bit. But for now, Russell, give yourself an intro for those that are new to the podcast.
Awesome. Hey guys, great seeing you. So my name is Russell. I'm the senior data analyst here at VENDO. So as you all know, VENDO is very data driven. So pretty much touch on, every single one of our brands. Really like being able to see our data, aggregate our data, and being able to find these like high level trends and things like that changing in the marketplace. That's always fun to do. And with, Prime just having ended, definitely a lot of great insights that we're, really looking forward to sharing on this call.
Thank you, Russell. And I think you covered it. So today's topic, and I missed it right at the beginning, so my apologies, is today we'll speak about Prime. And Prime just happened last week. In fact, it was on Tuesday and Wednesday. And we saw phenomenal results across the board. So this podcast will definitely highlight in terms of those insights we saw and any other important trends that we see within the marketplace that can help you guys sell more. With that, Michael, go ahead and give us an introduction in terms of, SmartScout, your position at SmartScout, and some fun facts about the platform.
Okay, awesome. So once again, my name is Michael. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at SmartScout. So SmartScout, we've been around. We're coming up on our second birthday here in a couple months. So we are data analytics for Amazon. We provide lots of market research tools, kind of a top-down analysis. The short version that I use sometimes is, for a long time, product research was a matter of like trying to find a product that would hit the right keywords so you could have success. We look at it like you're using keywords to drive market share. So you build into a market, understand what subcategories you're in, and really build a brand, not a product. It's kind of another mantra there. So glad to be here and glad to talk about Prime Day.
Let's do it. No, absolutely. So as we noticed, Prime, this year was Prime's, Amazon's biggest Prime event. They made a release on right after Prime, in fact, on the 14th, just giving us some trends in terms of what they saw in the market. 8 to 9 p.m. on Wednesday was probably was, according to their data, the biggest conversion hour that they had during the whole 2-day event, which was phenomenal to see. We actually saw some of this on our brands, on their book of business. They also stated that 16,000 items per minute, insane amount throughput. Some of the other things that they called out was a lot of customers were ready for the summer. So I think we'll be able to speak to a little bit of that in terms of what we saw from our, from our own clients and our own perspective and the strategies that we put behind it. But definitely there were a lot of people shopping for sunglasses and swimsuits. I think, we are in the summer season, so it makes total sense. It's relevancy, right? What the algorithm is going to drive. And to your point, Michael, keywords are king. In this time, we know that the algorithm really favors relevancy. And if those keywords are tied back to a product that with good reviews, good price, it's always going to be on page one for that relevant keyword. But with that, Russell, I'm going to toss it to you. Let us know, walk us through what we did at VENDO, what you saw, and we'll just share ideas and share data points with Michael here in terms of what he saw on his end.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so just to give you guys a brief overview of kind of how we structure things around Prime, right? Because we've gone through a few Prime days now, I think the 3 or 4. So we have enough experience there where we have a set structure of how we kind of set things up for our brands, ideally. So obviously, we're going to run a discount on Prime Day itself. It's usually somewhere around like 25 to 30% off, something around that range. But we also do like something very important, which is lead in and lead out, which is it's coupons, leveraging some kind of like 10 to 20% discount on our brands the 7 to 14 days leading in, as well as some 14 days leading out from Prime, just to make sure that we're capturing a lot of that momentum and also generating momentum going into Prime. So that's kind of how we structure deals for our clients. And then this year, we definitely saw a lot of really strong results. This year, even leading into Prime, daily sales were definitely up across most of our brands. Customers were browsing. We definitely saw traffic across the marketplace being up. And because we had those deals running, that definitely helped us in terms of just our average daily sales being up and getting us to a better ranking position leading into Prime. That's kind of the important thing. As Michael has kind of alluded to, looking at category ranking and keyword ranking, that really is very important in order to get you in front of more eyes. And we saw that effect leading into Prime. And then during the main event, really strong sales across the board. And as Vinny kind of showcased, like day two was actually pacing quite a bit behind day one, all the way up until like I would say after like 4 to 6 p.m. on day two. And then you got that huge influx of sales, partially driven by just Amazon sending out those push notifications. So that was a huge thing. And then just last minute shopping. A lot of people probably didn't even know Prime was taking place on that first day. And then second day, they kind of checked out the deals last minute, like they had the things in their carts and they converted at that last point on that second day. So that's why like sales was so close between day one and day two. That was huge. But overall traffic, we definitely saw day two being quite a bit lower than day one, which is interesting. But conversion rates, that intent to purchase, was just so high on day two that kind of made up for that difference, which is why we saw kind of even sales between those 2 days. And then lastly, just leading out, definitely saw a lot of strong trends. Like first couple days after the main event, definitely saw like a dip in sales because people just bought their products, like they're not looking to convert. And then right after that, especially on brands where we had really good rankings improvements during Prime, we saw our daily sales definitely see like a strong bump, definitely higher than they were leading into Prime, which is honestly what we want to see, right? That's kind of the biggest impact that Prime has on you, which is that long-term ranking impact. And definitely saw that across brands that kind of ran with our strategies and had great success there during Prime.
No, that's exactly it. And I think the volume of sales that we saw, accelerated ranking, bestseller ranking, therefore you are positioned higher in page, you're getting more impressions, your ads are building more efficiencies. So everything, if you have the right game plan, everything works towards you on a big event that has so much traffic coming in so that you can drive a higher conversion. But enough of that, enough of Vendo. Michael, what did you guys see on your end? You guys collect a ton of data. I'm curious to know, for you to tell the audience exactly what is it that you guys were seeing, some insights, some trends. Yeah, talk us through that.
Yeah, so it's been fairly publicized that this was Amazon's biggest Prime Day ever, and that second day bump definitely got us there. I would also like just a little bit of anecdotal data. I'd kind of echo Russell's theory. I know that for me and many of my friends, like we'd get messages from our wives, kind of end of day two of like, "Hey, Prime Day's only got so much time left. Here's the deals that I want to take advantage of." And that was the moment when I was like, okay, yeah, whatever you want. That sounds great. And then so I think that there was definitely that second wave that happened on the second day of Prime Day after everyone's been browsing. But one thing that's really interesting, and I think you guys are talking about like the super positive side of Prime Day, which is very well executed, right? Like you guys have built into it and planned ahead. I think that there's also ways that you can kind of use Prime Day to do a little bit of cleanup. I think that's actually what we saw a lot of. Everyone has been, many people across Amazon and across other retail have been kind of in a supply flux, right? So we've been waiting for shipments to come in, and now everything's coming in all at once, and right as the economy's been cooling off. So I think that lots of people found themselves in a situation where maybe they had more inventory in hand than they planned on, and Prime Day was the perfect like recovery mechanism. Another thing that we noticed was actually like low sales leading up into Prime Day. So it could have been also that people, whereas normally Prime Day is a great surprise, and it rolls along. It's like, oh great, let's add a couple items to the cart. This was maybe a Prime Day people planned on a little bit more. Maybe the wallet's a little bit heavier, or I should say a little bit lighter. So they're waiting and they're timing maybe their purchases a little bit more, which also contributed to that great influx of sales that we saw this year. Average spend went up about per order went up $8 this year, but then when you factor in inflation, it really is pretty like nominal. It's like $3 more when you factor in inflation. That being said, that we're getting reports back that many sellers had a great Prime Day, great results. I know a couple accounts that had anywhere from like, just for example, we know that overall in units sold, Amazon was sold 8 times what they normally sell in a day in units. That helps many people's bottom line, top line sales. So it's been awesome to see kind of the ripple effects throughout the industry.
That's amazing. And guys, this is just an insight of what SmartScout's doing on their back end. They're just populating all this data so that it's available to you as a seller. Just another great resource for you to dive in and see what is it that, especially when you're doing product research, you can see the trends, you can see the spikes in traffic, and they're collecting all this data for it to be so easy for you to navigate and really find that product, your next product to launch to market. With that, Russell, any other call outs in regards to Prime Day?
Yeah, one other thing was, I would say like for Prime, for these events, people aren't just buying stuff they're familiar with. We definitely saw people very willing to kind of try out buying new products, because we track new to brand customers very closely here at Vendo. And for Prime, obviously, your total number of customers is going to have a huge spike during that week, during those 3 days. But we definitely saw a higher percentage of new to brand customers. I would say anywhere from like 5 to 15% higher than your normal distribution compared to repeat customers. And really, you don't really want your repeat customers to be buying your products during this time at that discount. You want new to brand customers, drive them into the funnel, especially if you're a repeat purchase brand. That's kind of the key. So definitely, like for this Prime Day, we saw that trend, and that's just something that we like to keep revisiting every few months down the line, just to see like, are these customers still returning? And in general, we've seen that for past Prime Days, but it's a really good trend to see that is still being followed for this particular event.
That's great. That's a phenomenal call out there. Before we close, because I know that we're eating into a 20-minute mark here, and it's been great. So many good insights. Michael, give us a little bit of a pitch in terms of SmartScout, and for those new users, give us I would say a minute pitch in terms of, hey, check out SmartScout. This is what we're offering. Maybe there's a discount code that we'll be offering in chat. Not sure, but yeah, just give us any insights in terms of what is it that what's exciting down the roadmap for SmartScout.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. So I love talking about high level analytics, but what's really important is also understanding what are the low level analytics that like make up your category. Like, just kind of off the top of my head, so some numbers, Health and Household does $3.3 billion a month in sales. And it's like, well, what does that do for me? Well, it doesn't do a lot for you, but did you know that vitamins is $846 million in sales, and mineral supplements alone do $85 million, magnesium does $35 million. So when you really start scoping it down, now it's like, oh, it's a $35 million market for magnesium. Let's look into it. Let's understand who are the players, who are the competitors, how am I going to get a piece of this market share? Just a different perspective on it. Rather than building it's a little bit more of a strategy. Let's figure out like, okay, who are the players? Are they private label? Are they big brands? And understand what their strategies are, and then even dive in with some of our other tools where you can look through and see what is their ad campaign, what is their strategy, and then build out and figure out, is this the opportunity I want to go with? That's just one way you can look into it. I really appreciate you guys having me on today. It's been awesome to talk about high level, low level insights. I love it.
Michael, you're back anytime you want. Well, I'm sure we'll have a second segment in regards to another big event. Holidays, just around the corner, another big traffic event. But Before that, look what Amazon's doing. They're already promoting their next Prime Day. So we got to just, see you next Prime Day. So maybe Michael, what we'll do is we'll see what that, how that Prime event turns out, come back, have you here as a guest, and dissect, all the data that we see on everywhere on your platform, on Amazon, and new category trends that might just spike out of this new Prime Day. But again, I appreciate you being on the pod. You were a great guest and very excited. For those that want to use a good data-driven analytics tool, check out SmartScout. Definitely a good resource to have. Thanks, guys.